Thank you. Two apologies. First, no pictures. Since you're in my town, you can walk around, you can see for yourself. Second, I have to introduce you to or torture you with some legal technicalities, but you see, that is what city politics is about. You have high aspirations of Baukultur, and you have to try to bring them down to earth in a given legal framework. And you have to do it, may I say, in a sort of creative way to adapt the legal framework to the real needs of the citizens of your city. Well, our city is one of the fastest growing cities in Austria. We have now 150,000 inhabitants. Within 10 years, we will be 165,000, which means approximately 6,000 new households. We have to have space. We have to create living space for them. We have to build social housing for the new citizens. And we do that in a very narrow context, not only mountains everywhere and airports. What's so special about Innsbruck is that it is a very dense and compact city according to the traditional model of a European city, set against the background of a fantastic, dramatic mountain scenery and set into a natural and cultural landscape that the citizens need for agriculture, for forestry, for sports, for recreation. And our goal is to keep that nature around the city intact. Let's not have the city growing like cancer into this landscape, but keep it a compact and dense city, even if we are growing in numbers. So the keyword of urban planning in Innsbruck is densification. Our strategic plan says that 75% of all the new housing should be created within the limits of what is now the built area, and only up to a maximum of 25% we use up new spaces that so far, according to the land use plans, are free areas where you cannot build. In this context of densification of the city, quality plays a most important, I'd say vital and crucial role, since architectural quality is what makes density livable. And if I'm talking about quality, I very much agree with what the draft conference statement of ACE is saying. We are not talking primarily or predominantly about aesthetics. We are talking about usability, livability, affordability, sustainability. We are talking about public space, about the in-between between the single buildings. We are talking about the social context. We are talking about how architecture shapes the social structure of a city. All these aspects taken together form what I would call architectural and urban planning quality, or in a simple word, Baukultur. Baukultur has been very important for our city for the last 35 years, very resilient, with changing political majorities, with changing party affiliation of mayors. For all of us, always Baukultur was important because we live in a city that is rapidly growing but does not have space. So responsible action to keep the city dense, to keep it from growing out into the natural landscape, and keep it sustainable and livable is just a simple necessity. And we believe, and it's been our experience, that architectural design competitions are one of the best tools of producing architectural quality. Here among architects probably, or certainly I don't have to explain why we feel that architectural design competitions are one of the best tools for creating quality. Now, the question that probably interests you might be another one, and that is, in the last 25 years, we had way over 200, nearly 250 architectural competitions, and 99% successful in the sense that the winning project had been built as a result of the competition. And we had competitions not only for big public works like the House of Culture or other very renowned buildings, but also for small municipal infrastructure projects, for bridges, of course for social housing. All the big social housing projects in the last 2 decades are results of architectural competitions, but also lots of private projects. Now, how do we manage that? And I can simply tell you, it's a deal. But really, frankly, it's a deal. We have to offer the private investor something, and we get something in return for holding a competition. And it's as simple as that. The existing building regulations voted by the City Council in the framework of the Tyrolean law on regional planning are more or less freezing the existing volumes and allowing only for small additions and changes. That's the building regulations in force. Now the investor comes and says, are you crazy? You can't be serious. That's contradicting your goal of densification of the city. And we said, yes, we always knew that. We want you to come up with a denser project with more volume in high quality. So what we are telling you is you make a competition and you get new building regulations for fitting for the winner of the competition. And why can we say that? Again, it's rather simple. The provincial law in force says that the City Council may change building regulations. It doesn't say that an investor has a right to get new building regulations. No, we, the City Council, we may change the regulations, provided it is in line with general criteria established by the regional law on regional planning, and as long as it is in the public interest. And we say, well, dear investor, as long as you don't make sure with the competition that the new building will have high quality, we can't see any public interest in you doing that. What happens is, after some talks between the investor who wants to build and the city planning department and the City Council's Commission on Urban Planning, the Commission on Urban Planning votes on 2 things at the same time. Number 1, framework conditions for the competition. We vote on a framework that establishes, well, maybe, as often as not, a ceiling for a maximum volume or maximum height. More than half of the competitions also state the planning department feels that a height of that much meters and a volume of that much cubic meters is in any case justifiable for the specific location, but the competition can and shall demonstrate that maybe more is possible and still architecturally satisfying. In some cases, we know our friends in the investors field, some of them are really greedy. We have to put in a limit and say, well, that's the maximum. Also, other conditions like energy efficiency, use of renewable energy, landscaping between the buildings, all that forms part of the architectural, of the framework for the competition that we vote on. And at the same time, we vote on the commitment, yes, for the winning project, you will get new building regulations without any political discussion. Meaning, the political discussion is at the beginning of the process. And then the process is in the hands of the jury of the competition. The city council has had his say beforehand by setting a framework of conditions. Afterwards, we vote for the new building regulation, and that's it. Plus, one more thing, it's called the project guarantee agreement. It's an agreement signed by the investor that forces him to build the winning project and nothing else. Legally speaking, it's a servitude, like the right of way. He signs that he is giving the public, as represented by the city, the right that this special building lot will not be built upon except for the project that wins the competition. And by this we make sure, we had some experience in the past, they make a competition, they get that much volume, they get building regulations for that volume, and then the project is watered down quality-wise. They have the volume, but the special qualitative features that made the project acceptable have gone for economic reasons. So now they sign an agreement, yes, the plans as we had them at the end of the competition, that's the project we are going to build, that and no other project. And with those two instruments, forcing them to a competition on the one hand, and having them sign the project guarantee agreement before the final vote in City Council on the new building regulations, with those two tools, we managed to create very, very high architectural and urban planning quality in our town, and we are very proud of. Plus, in the last six years, we also had the Gestaltungsbeirat, the Design Experts Advisory Board. You heard a lot from Mr. Pineda. Just one more aspect I can contribute to the issue of Gestaltungsbeirat. The most important result of the Gestaltungsbeirat is what you do not see. A number of really lousy projects that have been proposed, rejected by the advisory board, and hence also rejected by the city administration or the city council, since the Gestaltungsbeirat has no legal basis whatsoever. It's not legally binding. Its advice is not legally binding the city council or the administration. But we have voted on a commitment on the side of the city. We, as a rule, stick to the advice given by the advisory board. And that's why when the board says that project is bullshit, as Mr. Pineda rightly said, we feel it is, and we are not allowing it. Thank you.